Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to 11 Yanks. I'm very excited to have my first guest on the show, Filippo Silva from Tactical Manager, guys. He's a great channel. Does a lot of USMNT stuff, but also does European soccer, South American soccer. Filippo is Brazilian originally, right?
Yes, correct.
Welcome to the channel, Filippo. I'm excited to do this with you. I don't know if you guys saw on his channel, we did another video about the starting 11 for World Cup qualifiers for the USMNT. Now we're going to talk about the starting 11 for the Olympics, and we're going to predict not so much what we think will happen from our perspective or who we would select, but who Jason Kreis is going to select as the Olympic coach. So, Filippo, you ready to do this?
Yeah, and thank you very much for having here, Pete. It'll be very fun if we can do even more episodes together.
Yeah,
we do have the one at my channel too, and this will be a fun discussion because it's tough to predict this one.
This is very tough. Real quick, guys, I put a link to Tactical Manager in the description. So go check out his channel, subscribe. He's a great follow. And again, another reason why Filippo is good is he's not just a fan. He's a coach. He works for Orlando City's youth teams, right?
I work with their youth soccer schools here, and I also have a soccer company for kids that are from age 5 to 11. Been working it for a while.
Very cool. So you've studied the game. You're a student of the game, not just a fan. And that's important when you're trying to get opinion or analysis from somebody who's a coach, and that's what makes Filippo a great follow. So go do that, guys. Let's dive into this. Should we just start, basically go from goalkeeper to striker? We'll start at the back. Before we do, though, this is very tough because there's a lot of things that are good. We know our first team, our best 23 is going to be in World Cup qualifying. Berhalter has already said that. That makes sense. That's the priority, okay? We get under 23 team here with 3 overage players. Now, because of COVID, this is actually going to be an under 24 team. So players who are born 1997 or later. Okay, so like Chris Mueller, for example, is 24, but he was born 96. So he's going to be 25 this year. So he's not available, for example. Anybody born 1997 or after, they're available. We also don't know who's going to be released by their clubs. This is a gamble, Clubs don't have to let players go. It's not a FIFA event. So we're just speculating here. It could be very different, the actual lineup, but this would be fun to do. Let's get started.
Yeah. It's very important to point out that FIFA does it on purpose. They try to sabotage the Olympics every time.
Yeah, they do. Goalkeeper, who do you have starting in goal for the Olympics?
So this might even be a surprise to many. I think goalkeeper will be a position where we will bring one of the over 24 players, U24 players, and I think Matt Turner will go, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. I agree that it's going to be an overage player because our under 23 goalkeepers are not very experienced, but I'm going with Ethan Horvath. I think that Matt Turner will go as the backup to Zach Steffen with the World Cup qualifying. And I think if something happens to Steffen, you want to get your best goalkeeper there. If you have 3 games in qualifying in one window, if he gets injured or sent off in the first game, who's going to be your next guy? You have to keep the quality level high. And I think Turner's probably our number 2. And I think Horvath goes to the Olympics.
I agree that Turner is our number 2. And that's the same reason you put that he would go to the other one is the reason I believe he will be on this one. I think there will be some talks since I'm going to the Olympics, let's try to win it between Berhalter. And maybe it's an agreement that we can all agree that usually the backup goalkeeper never plays. And I think Horvath wouldn't be a liability. It wouldn't be a problem if it gets to that point. And the qualifiers that they would miss would probably be 2 games, right? It would be 2 games that they would play. I think they're going to go with something that they're going to also try to win the Olympics. They're not going to go. So that's why I'm saying Matt Turner, also a little bit more experienced than Ethan Horvath. And he'll play now with this camp right now. He'll play. Maybe he'll get a couple more minutes maybe in March whenever the U.S. plays again.
Yeah.
Nations League he probably won't play because then we're going to have probably our best goalkeeper.
Yeah. Berhalter did say we might have a friendly in June right before the Olympics. Before the Nations League too. So there could be another friendly in there to give guys some experience. We'll see.
It's a gamble. I think it can go either way. But normally, what I've seen in past Olympics from other national teams, and especially Brazil, when they pick one of the goalkeepers, it's an over 24, the goalkeeper usually. Yeah. And right now we would have maybe Ochoa as one of the options, but he's always injured. We have CJ Santos, but we haven't seen him much. We don't know much about him yet. So It's between Ethan Horvath and Matt Turner. Do we want to just agree on that? We'll just agree on that one, or agree to disagree on that
Sure.
one?
Yeah, we can agree. Like it'll be one of those two for sure.
One of those two,
Yeah,
I think.
I think too.
Let people in the comment section say whatever they think.
Yeah, tell us who you guys want. Right back. Who do you think goes as right back?
So, right now, with everything that's happening, Brian Reynolds just signed with Roma right now. We're recording. He signed today. I think it'll be him. There's a lot that can happen until then. He might not even play at all at Roma. There's so much that can happen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with him right now. I think the two that will be with Berhalter will be Serginho Dest and Reggie Cannon. So those two are completely out, and they're Olympic age, but they're out. So I'm going to go with him. We do have other options. There's Joe Scally that's not playing for Mönchengladbach. That's also another option. He's U24.
Yeah.
Araujo is an option too. I think it'll be Brian Reynolds, but any of those three, in my opinion, will be the call-up.
Yeah. That's a really good shout. I think it's going to be Julian Araujo at right back. I think Berhalter likes him and trusts him a lot. He's not going to play today. We're recording this the day of the Trinidad and Tobago game. I think he's injured. But I think he's got a lot of experience over at LA Galaxy. I like Brian Reynolds too. I think he offers more in attack than Julian Araujo does. But I think Araujo is better defensively. So it could be Reynolds as well. A lot depends on what happens at Roma. Does he play? Exactly. Is he improving? You know, he was a winger for most of his youth career. And in Italy, what he's going to learn is how to defend.
Even a forward.
Even a forward, yeah, like an attacking forward, wide forward. So, yeah, it could be Reynolds as well. I'd be fine with either Reynolds or Araujo at right back. So
for that position, let's do this. Since this one is so speculative, let's do the same. I think it's those two are the options right now.
One of those for sure.
It'll depend a lot on. It's very important to point out, too, one thing. Roma does play 3-defender formation with a right wing back. So if that happens, it's more likely that Brian Reynolds will get minutes since he is better as a right wing back than a fullback.
Yeah.
That could benefit him. It was better than him moving to Juventus, in my opinion.
Right. And also, are Roma going to let Reynolds go if he's now starting for them? So that's something we don't know. I think MLS teams will be more likely now to let players go to the Olympics because they understand if they go to the Olympics and they show well, that increases their transfer value. And now MLS is selling players. So I think someone like Araujo, if he's still at the Galaxy, at that time, is more likely to get released than Reynolds if Reynolds is playing regularly with Roma. If he's not, then maybe they'll let him go. But
you actually changed my mind with that point. That point changed. I would actually think maybe Araujo is more likely than in that case because he didn't transfer. There were rumors that he would go to the Spurs, Tottenham Spurs. Didn't happen. But it is true. It could happen that an European team couldn't release Brian Reynolds. So I'll go for Araujo for that one. Yeah.
Okay. Left backs. Who do you think is going to go?
There's two options that I'm in between here, but it has to do also with who will be the bench player for Robinson with Berhalter.
Yeah, exactly.
And to me, the two players are George Bello and Vines, and I think he'll bring as a backup Vines because he's a little bit different from Robinson. While Bello's more of an offensive left back, we already have Robinson. Yeah. So maybe Vines, he'll go with Berhalter. So I think maybe for this team specifically, maybe George Bello.
I agree. I think it's going to be George Bello. I think Vines is going to be with the first team. He's not as good, like you said, going forward, but solid defensively. He's a good defensive left back, and something different. So, yeah, with you on that, George Bello. Mm-hmm. George Bello has a lot of work to do on his positioning defensively. He's a good attacking fullback, similar to Robinson. But again, so his starting position, when they lose the ball, his ability to recover, his 1v1 defending has gotten better with Atlanta, but it's still a long way off from where it needs to be. If he's going to be going up against the best under-23 wingers in the world, he's going to have to improve.
Don't you think he needs to leave the MLS for that because MLS defending is a little
Yeah, I think he can improve only so much at Atlanta. So he can still improve, but if he has a good first few months of the season and he's balling out, I'd like to see him go, to Europe somewhere and maybe learn how to defend better. Mm-hmm. But Gabriel Heinze was a left back, the new Atlanta coach, right? He was a top
the Argentine, a defensive one.
A very good defensive left back. So maybe he can teach him some things.
Hopefully.
The good thing about, learning to defend is something you can learn even when you're older. Technique is something that's very hard to improve once you hit 18, 19 years old. Whereas positioning, body shape, that stuff, ideally you should have learned it when you were younger, to be honest. But if you haven't learned it, you can still improve it at a greater level than you can improve, say, someone's technical ability. It's hard to improve
You
that
you
that
see
much.
you see that a lot as players age too, how they improve, and as they improve their positioning, they even start to run a little less in the field, waste less energy. They learn how to position themselves better,
Yeah,
and that just comes with time. So I know some players, for example, Marcelo for Brazil, he never learned to defend because he never cared to learn. He was
yeah,
so gifted on offense, he never cared. But someone
yeah.
like George Bello that is talented on offense, he should learn. And I think like you said, he is improving slowly. I
Yeah,
think he'll improve enough to not be a liability on defense.
I agree. I agree. Center backs. Center backs is a fun one. I'll go first on this. I think the two center backs I end up going, I have one overage player. I think that overage player is going to be Walker Zimmerman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie, I think come September, are both going to have improved to a point that they're going to be in the senior team. We talked about Richards in the other episode we did about World Cup qualifying, possibly starting. I think McKenzie has already jumped ahead of Tim Ream to back up John Brooks at the left back spot. That's my opinion. But I think by September, that will also be cemented in Berhalter's mind. He's at Genk now. He's going to keep improving. Ream isn't even playing at Fulham anymore. He's on his way down. He's 33, 34. He'll probably be back in MLS this summer. I think so. Now I think Walker Zimmerman, and I think the other center back that partners him is Miles Robinson from Atlanta.
Okay.
Who are yours?
And Miles Robinson would be underage, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because I
Yes.
picked him as an underage. So underage, I would go Miles Robinson. Originally, I had Chris Richards
Okay.
because I did do the lineup 2 days ago. But
Right.
yeah, we talked about it, and Chris Richards will likely be in for the senior squad because now he's going to get minutes in the Bundesliga. Now,
Yeah.
my second center forward is different from yours. It's Eric
Okay.
Palmer Brown.
Okay. I can see that. You know what?
He's
I'm going to
U24.
change.
He's
Yeah.
been
Go ahead.
killing it in the Austrian league. I believe he belongs still to Manchester City. Been
Yeah.
killing it in the Austrian league. Very physical defender, very athletic. I haven't
Yeah.
been able to watch him play because I don't know where to watch the Austrian league very easily. It's kind of tough. But
Yeah.
there's been having a lot of compliments with him. Been scouting him through trying to get from news outlets, and they've been liking. He's been playing full 90 minutes. I would go with him.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to change and join you on that. I'm going to go Miles Robinson and what's his name? Eric Palmer
Eric Palmer
Brown.
Brown.
Walker Zimmerman. I know he won MLS Defender of the Year last year, but
That little.
here's the thing: when he was playing for LAFC, and I'm an LAFC guy, he is terrible defending on an island. So when you're playing in a low block and he's got 10 guys around him, which is how Nashville plays, they're a very defensive team, very old English style with their coach there, then he looks really good. But when you are attacking and he has to defend on an island in transition, this is a college defender. It's a lot like,
Yeah,
a lot of athleticism, a lot of height, a lot of
I don't even
physicality.
put him there.
So,
But I could see him as a possibility because then again, Eric Palmer Brown is in Europe.
yeah.
They could not. But the thing is, the Austrian league does sell players, so maybe they would
Yes.
want to put him there.
Yeah.
But he belongs to Manchester City.
Eric Palmer Brown.
I believe he does.
Technically. And for Manchester City, he's not going to play in Manchester City anytime
So maybe
soon.
they'll release him. Yeah.
They might release him and say that'll be good for his transfer value. Because
Yeah.
if he balls out, then maybe a Bundesliga team comes in for him.
Mhm.
So,
We'll go
yeah.
with that then.
Eric Palmer Brown and Miles Robinson. With the caveat, I think Zimmerman will be on the roster as an overage player to provide experience and just sort of an older head guy. He's never going to be anything more than a good MLS center back. That's all he's
I
ever
agree.
going to be.
I agree.
All right, let's move into midfield. So we're going with the same 4-3-3 that the senior team plays. Guys, Jason Kreis has been in every camp with Berhalter and the senior team. They're going to play the same way because they're trying to integrate the system from the U17s, U20s, U23s, all the way up. So they're going to play the same way. Who is your holding midfielder?
Okay, so this one I have. I'm still torn in between two players because I think Chris Durkin might be with the main squad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
he's
think
going to
there's
back up Tyler Adams.
Yeah, he's versatile like Tyler. Sometimes he plays as a right back, sometimes he plays the holding midfielder. But if he doesn't, I think Chris Durkin would be the holding midfielder for this team. Olympic age, solid player. But I'm also in my mind what I have too is maybe Johnny Cardoso can play that holding deep line playmaking midfielder. He's not really a different, but plays a deep line playmaker. Be a little different would change the playing style quite a bit. But I think Johnny Cardoso could be there.
Sorry to cut you off. You're Brazilian. Have you seen Johnny Cardoso play a lot? Because I've only seen him in very limited minutes. What is your opinion of Johnny Cardoso as a
Well,
type
he's
of player.
very similar. He's very similar to who starts for him. He reminds me at times of Rodrigo Dorado from Internacional. He's kind of one of those players that plays with his head up, distributing the game, good passes, very technical player. Lengthy, so he's fairly decent on defense. He's not one of those hustle defenders, but pretty good. That's what he is essentially. He's one of those he's a Brazilian player. He's very skilled. Yeah. He's different, something the United States actually doesn't have. Weston McKennie's that press. Tyler Adams, press. It'd be a little more comparable to Giovanni Reina, but back. When he plays back, he's a deep-lying playmaker, not an advanced attacking midfielder.
So do you not think that Berhalter would want Cardoso to back up Tyler Adams as just something different for World Cup qualifying?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he'll bring Cardoso to have something different or Durkin because he'll want something similar. I don't know. Yeah. So they'll depend on that.
I think I put Jackson Ewell as my number 6 because he's a very Berhalter-esque player. He wants that 6 to be able to, not only keep possession, but also play those long diagonals down the wing to release wingers in behind. But the thing, too, is that, Owen Otasawi is another option. He can play as a 6, but I don't think Wolves...
He plays everywhere.
Yeah, he plays everywhere. Now, Otasawi, for me, is another athlete. He's another... People are like, oh, he's an attacking midfielder for Wolves. He's so good on the ball. No, he's not. I don't know what you're watching, guys. He is an athlete. He's very strong, very talented, very physical, and his technique is decent at best. I think he might even end up as a center back, in my opinion. But he could also play as a 6, but one of those destroyer 6s. But I don't know if Wolves is going to release him. I think they're less likely to release him because they're starting their Premier League season. I would have loved to have him for the Olympics. I think he could be a really good option there. So I think it's going to be Jackson Ewell. Chris Durkin is an interesting one, too, because he hasn't been called up by Berhalter yet. But that could be interesting to see. It's so hard to know,
One thing we can say about Cardoso that might not get him to play is this. The Brazilian League will be in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So Internacional could not release him. Rodrigo Dorado could leave Internacional. If he does leave, the odds of Cardoso starting or being very important off the bench is big. Yeah. So that could happen. And if that happens, I think Internacional will say, no, man, I'm not going to release him for the Olympics because I'm allowed to not do that. Yeah. Exactly. So Cardoso could be out for that. And another possibility is a player that might play against Trinidad today. Because, guys, we're recording this before the game, okay? Is Pereira from Orlando City. He is a defensive midfielder. He defends. Yeah. So if you want a holding midfielder that defends, he's not that good on offense. It's an option. It's a possible. And Orlando City would release him for sure. Yeah,
they would for sure. I'd like to see Pereira. I hope he starts tonight. He's definitely a good option. There's so many young 6s we have coming through, actually. When you look at the depth chart there, even a Tanner Tessman can play as a 6. We have 5 or 6 guys now that are 6s, and it's hard to know how that's going to distribute.
But we got to pick one, Pete. Who are we going to pick?
One. Oh, man. I'm going to join you on Chris Durkin. We'll go with that because he's a Belgian team. They might let him go because transfer value. Selling clubs, more likely to release him because they want those transfer values to go up. So let's go with Chris Durkin.
And Berhalter might do that with Cardoso to bring Cardoso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next true. One.
Okay, sort of the box-to-box. Now, Berhalter plays the 4-3-3 with the dual 8s, but there's usually one who's a little more of a box-to-box and then one who's more of a pure attacking midfielder. Who is your box-to-box guy?
So I don't know if I'm going to go purely with a box-to-box. I don't think he is a box-to-box, actually, but he plays central midfielder. I need to watch him a little more. I just saw a couple highlights of him. I didn't watch many games from him, from sports in Kansas. Busio.
Okay.
Gianluca Busio. And he's been speculated for Barcelona, a couple of big teams in Europe. He's talented, very young, Olympic age. I don't see Kansas not releasing him.
Right. That's true. I didn't really. So for me, Busio goes missing too much in games when I've watched him for Sporting Kansas City. And when the spaces get very tight, his technique lets him down, and he's not influential enough yet. So I'm not sure that he's ready for U23. I think he's still a U20 player right now. I actually had Paxton Pomykal there with the caveat that he can stay healthy. Now, I am a huge, huge Paxton Pomykal fan. I think he's the most complete American midfielder in MLS. This guy in possession of the ball, he can play central, more of an 8 box-to-box guy. He's not very fast, but he's so intelligent. His ability to read the game, his ability to keep possession under pressure, to explode going forward. We saw him at the U20 World Cup dominate that French midfield. But the problem with him is he can't stay healthy and hasn't for some time. Now he's coming back from a hip injury. Hopefully, if he is back for this MLS season and he balls out for a few months, I think he goes to the Olympics and starts. That's what I think.
If he's not healthy, what would be your second option?
Probably Busio, maybe. I think you're right about Busio. I think there's a lot of guys in Europe who could maybe go, but they're not going to get released.
Yeah,
so,
Busio would get released, and I think they would even want to because of all these transfer rumors. They would probably want to showcase him to sell him.
Yeah, to try and get him off the. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But I'll go with your option because I see that as long as he's healthy.
If he's healthy, yeah, completely healthy. Let's go to the 10 or the other attacking midfielder. Who's yours?
This one I'm gambling. I'm going to gamble.
Okay, all right.
But because he just is pretty much set to head to Leipzig next year, I'm going to say Caden Clark. I think we can see Caden Clark.
Interesting. I think I would like him to make it. The fact that Berhalter hasn't called him up to either of the last two camps surprises me because I think he deserved a look. And I don't think he's going to bring him to the Olympics if he wasn't called in for January, which is under 23, at least to have a look at him. So I think it's going to end up being Brendan Aaronson. And I think that because A, Jesse Marsch is an American, they're more likely to let him go. And B, RB Salzburg, they are a transfer team. They want to sell players, right? They want to get players showcased. So I think they will let Brendan Aaronson go.
I would definitely go with Brendan Aaronson. The reason I didn't pick him because he's much more. He proved himself in the MLS already. At least Caden Clark still has to do so. One was I was iffy with the whole European thing. If they'll release him, while no, Caden Clark will be released, and Caden Clark might be called up as a backup if he's not starting. I just think that maybe Brendan Aaronson by then could be in our senior squad.
You think so?
I think.
I guess with Ledesma injured, so who backs up Gio Reyna at that 10 spot? I think he brings Leggett.
He does have a thing for Leggett. So
he loves Leggett. So I think Leggett goes with the senior team and Aaronson goes to the Olympics. I don't think Ledesma is going to be coming back from his injury about in the summer, so I don't think he makes it.
No, he'll be back. He'll probably be back at the summer. But he's not going to force it or risk it at the Olympics. He's not going to do that.
No. Should we go Brendan Aaronson and Gianluca Busio for that one? Paxton, and then if Paxton is injured, Busio.
Yeah, and we'll go with Brendan as the attacking midfielder. If Brendan's not in the senior squad, if he's at the senior squad, do you also think Caden might?
I hope so.
Depending on how the season goes.
Yeah, if he balls out for Red Bull New York for the first few months, then I can see that happening. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the right wing. Who do you have on the right?
I actually have over 24 now.
Okay.
Chris Mueller from Orlando City.
Interesting. You think they bring him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that because... Okay, so who are the wingers that you think he brings to qualifying? So you have Pulisic and we have Weah. Who are the other two?
Pulisic, Weah, Gio Reyna could play there too. Jordan Morris, I think he'll call up Jordan Morris.
Okay.
And probably just one more at most, but he already has 4 there. But he'll probably bring one more because Reyna is not just a winger. Who else could he bring there? I don't think he's gonna bring Mueller. That's the thing.
Right. So Mueller going to the Olympics, I can see that. I had on my right wing Conrad de la Fuente. I think that he is in this limbo with Barcelona right now, where he is between the second team and the first team. He's not really getting any playing time with the first team, as he shouldn't. He's okay. He still has a lot of work to do. But I think he's the kind of guy where when you're playing in the Olympics, he's very good on the transition. He's actually not a typical Barcelona player who is keep the ball, tiki-taka. He is a guy who's very good in transition. And I think that'll be good when we're playing the best teams in the world at the Olympics, and we're going to have space in front of us. We're going to be defending and countering more. That's when a guy like Conrad de la Fuente, I think, can be effective. And I think Barcelona will let him go because it's not like they are using him.
So I don't want to skip positions, but I had Conrad de la Fuente as our left wing.
Okay. So let's talk about the left winger then, and then we can come to a consensus.
We'll put the wingers together now. Yeah.
So you had Conrad de la Fuente on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I had Llanez. I think that Uli is way more talented than his time in Europe has demonstrated. The Uli is a very technical player. He has that 360-degree technique I've discussed. Every time he's played for the U.S., he's looked really good. The problem is that I don't know if he has that elite athleticism that they want in Europe now. So, yes, you can be technical in Europe, but if you're playing in the midfield, they want two-way midfielders. And that's happening in the center. It's happening wide. We're seeing it in Holland, in Germany. And I think that's why Uli has struggled. He's also had some injuries. He got COVID. He had a nasty throat infection. It's been a rough time for him. I don't think Wolfsburg is going to play him that much anytime soon. So I think he goes to the Olympics and they try to increase his transfer value and then maybe sell him after that.
I think he'll be in the squad. He could start. The thing is, even when Berhalter had the October camp, October or November, when he had the European base, it was October, right?
October, yeah.
October camp. When he didn't have Christian Pulisic, the first player he started was Conrad de la Fuente.
Conrad, yeah.
So it could be something they saw at practice. Maybe he can't translate it to the game yet. Conrad is super talented. He's got a lot of flair. He can just break through the defense very well.
Yeah.
I think Chris Mueller is a pick because he is more experienced because he's older. He's solid. He is tough. He bodies. He runs a lot. Good pace. He did very well versus El Salvador. He'll probably start today versus Trinidad and will probably do well again. Very reliable. Very good player. Very good person too, from what I heard in Orlando City. That's why I think he'll go on the right wing with Chris Mueller. Now, the left wing, it could be debatable Conrad or Llanez.
Yeah, it's so hard to know, and it could be for different types of opponents. So when we're facing a Qatar or a lower end team where we're going to have more of the ball, you might play Llanez there. But when you're going to see less of the ball, then you want Conrad. He's that guy who's going to be a transition winger.
What about? Do you think Mueller has a chance of going? Because Orlando would release him.
Yeah, I think those three will be on the roster. So I can go with. Let's go with Mueller on the right, and then either De La Fuente or Llanez on the left.
Llanez, we'll go with Llanez. Yeah, we'll go with Llanez there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he'll start playing for Heerenveen very soon too. Again,
you think so?
Yeah, I think he'll get minutes.
We really haven't given him much chance. It's been up, down, stop, start. I heard they might terminate.
December he played.
He played a little bit. He got 20 minutes. He's never started. But it's been a lot of up and downs with him, with getting COVID and then slight injuries. And so we'll see. I heard they might terminate that Heerenveen loan and for the second half of the season, send him somewhere else where he's going to play more. But that hasn't been confirmed. That was just a rumor. Fingers crossed. Should be confirmed now. Should be. I mean, today's the 31st. If it hasn't come out, then maybe not.
But tomorrow. It's tomorrow that they close it, I think.
Oh, okay. But, Wolfsburg can recall him too. They can recall him in February at any time. So let's go to the forward. Who starts at center forward for you? And this is just as difficult as the senior team, I think. Maybe more so because of the releasing issues.
Yes, it's also easier at the same time because we know we don't know who's going to start for the senior one, but I know Josh Sargent will be with the senior one, so I can already take him out of this one. He's not going to be on this one.
Okay.
I'll take out Josh Sargent right away.
Yeah.
I think there's actually two players that I'm in doubt here, and I'm not sure. I'm thinking of Daryl DK and Hoppy. Because I think Josh Sargent and Soto will be with the senior squad. Hoppy, he's been going up and down there. Huntelaar just arrived in Schalke, so maybe his minutes will go down. We'll see how that goes. DK will still be in Orlando City. He's been called up twice already by now. He'll probably start today. And he's a different type of player that we don't have. Maybe a body. So I think it's between those two. Who will start? It's a gamble.
I kind of agree with you. I think it could be either of those two. I had Hoppy as well. But here's the thing about Hoppy. So his contract expires this summer with Schalke. Now, if he's a smart kid, he's not going to renew that contract. Hopefully. You are now a free agent. You have 5-6 goals in the Bundesliga. You're an American. Everyone wants to sign Americans right now. Do not sign a contract. I'd be very surprised if he did that. So now you're a free agent, okay? And what you can say to teams, if you have a good agent, is say, okay, we'll join you on the condition you release him for the Olympics. Now, if you put that clause in his contract, then maybe he could go to the Olympics. Now, if he goes to a team that wants him to be their starter, they may not release him for the Olympics. That's the other thing. We don't know where he's going to go. You know what can happen too, Pete? What can happen is, let's say Hoppy continues to start for Schalke. Huntelaar does not take his position. He continues to get goals here and there. And Sebastian Soto is arriving at Norwich and doesn't play. Yeah, it's possible. It could switch. It could absolutely switch. They're very similar players, Soto and Hoppy, in my opinion. They're both finishers, poachers.
But Hoppy's a righty and Soto's a lefty. Is that the only difference? Or Soto?
I think Soto's a righty too. I think
He's
they're both
a righty
righty.
too?
But Soto
Hoppy's
is
a
very
righty.
good with both feet. Yeah, Hoppy's a righty. Do we have any lefty forwards apart from Ebo Bise in the pool?
Is Soto a righty?
So.
I can't remember right now.
I think Soto.
I don't think we do. We're lacking on lefties, yeah. Because Daryl DK's a righty too.
Yeah. And Ebo Bise, guys, some people say, especially Portland fans, best American striker. No, he shouldn't be involved with the national team.
Do you think out of these players, maybe not start, but Daryl DK is almost a lock to get called up for the Olympics?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not start.
MLS guy, Orlando guy, they're going to release him, I think. So, he'll go. I think he will start. Let's see how he does today in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm interested.
The Olympics could be in Orlando.
Wait, it's not going to be in Japan?
No. There's not rumors. It's actually real. Japan is thinking of canceling it permanently, and Florida said that they would be open to accept it. So that could happen.
So I saw the story that Japan was going to cancel it, but then the Japanese Olympic sort of committee came out and said that's not true at all.
Yeah, there's problems with the government right now there. That's the argument. We'll see how that goes. That's just something completely off topic. I just want to say that maybe we'd go to Orlando.
That'd be great.
And for that we should go to the game here.
That'd be fun.
But here, just to put some controversy to your channel too. Do you think there's any chance he'll bring Josie Altidore for the Olympics if he's still in the MLS?
I hope not. I hope not. I just don't think he's going to have anything to offer, and he's only going to get worse as he ages, guys. He's not getting better. He's not improving. The only reason maybe in the squad, see, it's so hard to know what they're going to do. We don't know enough about Berhalter. He hasn't been in charge long enough for us to observe too many patterns. I think it's possible, but unlikely. That's where I'll go with that.
I agree.
Unlikely. I hope not.
But I think one more veteran that we didn't say will show up. I think Turner is a possibility. Ethan Horvath, Mueller is but I think there's going to be one more veteran somewhere.
What about Areola? Do you think he goes?
Is he staying in MLS? Wasn't he leaving?
We don't know. I doubt it personally. I don't think Swansea's going to pick him up. Areola isn't Morris. Areola is a hard-working winger with very limited technical ability, right? I don't know if you've seen him much for DC. He looks okay when we're playing.
Well, he played for the U.S. too.
Yeah, and for the U.S. But it's okay against, who is that team we thrashed at the Gold Cup? Areola looks great. Wow, what a player. But even in MLS, he can't go 1v1. He's not a 1v1 guy. He's not particularly fast. He does the basics well, and he works hard. I think it's over for him with the national team. Now with all these wingers coming up. By this summer, I think it will be over for him. I don't know if he even has much to offer at the Olympics, to be honest. But I'm curious if they would bring him as a third overage.
They could, and maybe DC would even want that to bump his value and try to sell him. Since it looks like they want to sell him, that's what it looks like.
Does it? I think everyone wants to sell now in MLS.
Try to make some money now.
Everyone needs money after the pandemic. So, okay, let's go over the final lineup. We've agreed on Ethan Horvath in goal.
Him or Turner. We said either Turner.
And then right back, we go with Araujo because we think there's more likely chance he's going to be released. Left back, Bello, because Vines will be at the senior team. Center backs, Miles Robinson and Eric Palmer-Brown. Our holding midfielder, what did we end up saying? We ended up saying Durkin, right? Because of a lot of things. But could be Perea, could be Yule, could be a lot of guys.
Cardoso,
Otasawa, you never know. I think it's unlikely. But attacking midfielders, Brendan Aaronson and Paxton Pomykal, with the caveat that if Pomykal is not fit, it will be Gianluca Busio.
Yes.
And then we went Llanez on the left wing, could also be De La Fuente. Right wing, Chris Mueller, and then up top, probably Daryl DK is our
most likely the favorite one right now. The
cool,
top
man.
runner. All right.
This has been really fun. Guys, let us know in the comments who you would take and why. This is anybody's guess. The Olympics is just wild. We don't know who's going to be released, who they want, who can go. We don't even know if there's going to be an Olympics yet, So hopefully we do. We really need to do something. I think it'd be good. We have Olympic qualifiers at the end of March, which is going to be another interesting thing. Let us know if you want us to cover different topics. If you want, Filippo and I could make this a regular thing, either as a video series or as a podcast. Let us know, guys. He's a great guy. Like I said, go follow him. He knows what he's talking about. He knows his stuff. He also does some really good player interviews. He had Paxton Aaronson recently on his channel, who, by the way, is another sleeper for the U23s.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him enough, but I've heard really good things about him from people who I respect. So he could be an interesting number 10, sort of similar to his brother. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Filippo, thanks for being on. We'll do this more often. Have a great one. Talk to you later.